So let's go in and have a look at setting up or using support server to help get your visited service working. So the scenario for a visited service is that you get visitors from this university ABC coming to you. Your proxy server detects that they are not from your local realm, so it needs to send the authentication requests up to the national proxy servers. So from the perspective of your ORPS, the national radius proxy server is a remote radius server or a proxy server. From the perspective of the NERPS, the national proxy server, your radius server is a radius client. So it needs the NERPs need to be configured to allow your ORPS to send authentication requests up to us. So what support server is going to do, it's going to feed in the configuration into the national proxy server to allow this to happen. So we're going to, you need to view this from the point of view of the NERPs. Okay. So support server operations. So you need to register your ORPS with us. Shared secrets will be generated. Those shared secrets you will then need to put into your ORPS configuration. So you'll be setting up the NERPs as an authenticator, and you'll need the shared secret for that. And you'll also need the IP addresses, which are available on support server in the little help box. Right. Once you've registered your radius server using support server, the configuration of the NERPs will be refreshed at the next hourly update. So support server feeds that config up to the NERPs. And at that point, your ORPS will be able to send the request up to the NERPs. I think we can, yes, I'll just show you the screens that's involved in doing this. So you go click on configure. In the green radius servers panel, click on add server. The add radius proxy server dialog box pops up. You enter the fully qualified domain name of your radius server. So you need to have a public IP address, and there needs to be an entry in DNS. You need an A record for that. With radius on UDP, the authentication port is always 1812. When you do this, shared secrets will be generated. And I can't remember what the next slide is. I hope it's the bottom of the screen, but you'll need to, yes, there's some more information that you need to put in down here at the bottom, and then you click on, yes, save at the end here. So let's flick over to support server and we can do this live. So I'll stop sharing and I will then share my where has it gone? My apologies. Yes. Sorry, the screens had moved around. Okay, so this is live on support.eduroam.uk. I'm going to log in. Here we go. Now my organization is CamForward. So we have no servers defined at the moment. I'm going to set up a visited, so I'm going to configure the ARPs, the NERPs for my visited service. So I'm going to click on Add Server. I put the domain name, the fully qualified domain name there. Support server will do a lookup and populate the IP address field. The shared secrets are generated each time that you click on Add Server, so they'll be different every time. And these are the ones that you need to copy into your ARPS config. For the visited service, the ARPS is not going to be authenticating requests. It's just a client, so I will not be clicking this box. It's not a test development, so I will not be clicking that. And I want it to be a live server, so I'll leave that unclicked. So you can put in some information here, whatever you like, the name of the server, and provide information about what operating system it's running. So for instance, it might be a Windows server, an NPS server, the operating, the version, the Radius software, and doesn't really matter as it's just for demonstration purposes. And then we can click Save, and that ARPS will be registered with us. And then at the hour, as I said, the config from support server will be uploaded to the NERPs and the server will be live. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay, that's right. Then you will be able to do all the hard work, which is to set up eduroam on your site. So this is the SSID on your Wi-Fi. You need to configure that to support 802.1x. You need to point authentications to the your ARPS. You set up your eduroam VLAN on the network with access to the internet. You configure your access points to connect authenticated eduroam users, your visitors, to the eduroam VLAN. And you need to configure your ARPS to forward, so you need a connection policy in place to forward visitor auths up to the NERPs. And then you can test that visitor authentication requests are in fact being forwarded to the NERPs. We can't do all of this for you. You need to do that. So how do you test that your visited service is working? Click on the troubleshoot page, and in the test panel, here's the information about visiting authentication tests. There is a test user account that we host on support server. The user ID is always your realm name, and the actual realm name of the test account is eduroam.ac.uk. So that realm is supported on the little Radius server that we have running on support server. The password for the test account will be revealed when you move your mouse over password. There's information about how to use these credentials and more information about the visitor test available by clicking here, or you can click on the little help icon at the top of the panel. So typically you would put those credentials into a laptop device, set it. You can get the device correctly set up using the cat profile for Camford. You can run that using get eduroam, get the device set up for Camford, use those test credentials, and then your laptop will then behave like the laptop of a visitor from Camford. That's all documented in the little help pop-up. Okay, so when your service is production ready, you need to tell us about it. So you click on Configure, you go to the purple Organization Setting panel, and in the general box, first of all, make sure that the details that we have about you are correct. You can update that information, and then you can click Save. Also in Organization Settings, you'll see there's Service Type and Service Deployment Status. So you go to Service Type, click there, you get a little dialog box popping up, eduroam Service Type. Initially, none of these boxes, these ticks, radio buttons will be ticked. So we're setting our AUPS as a visited service. So you click on Visited, click Save, job done. The identifier here, this will be when you join, that'll be on the application form. It's the operator name, and it's typically your domain name. Just make sure that's correct. And as I say, this is used in the logs, and it really does help with analyzing them. Incidentally, at the bottom of a lot of these pages, there is a link to, this is not very good because it's overwritten the footer, but there's a link to the community website, to the implementation guide, which goes through how to set up eduroam in great detail. So once you've made your service assertions, you have an operational service, you've got your website in place, you will want to tell the world about your service. So you need to create an eduroam service information page about your service. That needs to have, at the very least, a link to eduroam, www.eduroam.org. This is a requirement that's handed down to us from the Géant European Federation that we're part of. And the eduroam.org website it's like the one place that all the eduroam users on the planet can go to for a single source of truth. But we'd also point you to the Jisc community website. And you'll find on there information about what you need to put in place on your service information page. So the other part of telling the world about your service is to provide locations information. You don't have to, you can just have one location. There's a university not very far from Oxford, which only has one flag on the map. We have an office down in the southwest in a big city, and the university there lists about 50 or 60 locations. The choice is yours. It depends how helpful you want to be to potential visitors. And as I say, the other thing you need to do is to update your service type on the assertions on support server. Right, so this is where your service information URL goes. Just click save when you're done. Okay, more information about your service locations. So if you go to the configure page and scroll down to the bottom to the locations panel, this is the one for Jisc. If you click on the name of the site, you get the location settings dialog screen coming up, and you can provide full details of the address, the type of location. This is a new feature. This goes into the European database for what it's worth, so you can tell us if you're a school, university, college, a health provider, a stadium, a conference center. Let's look at the postcode. You can put the postcode in of a location. Support server will do a lookup and convert that into lat long. But if you have multiple sites, there are not any down here, these are all in different cities. But if you had multiple sites sharing the same postcode, the lat long would be the same. And so the pointers on the little flags on the map on eduroam Companion would all be in the same place. So in order to differentiate those, you can come in and you can do some more granular refining of the lat long. You can tell us about your service down here, the number of access points you've got, the ciphers you support. This is really a throwback to the old days when people were allowed to support WPA2 TKIP. You're not anymore. All eduroam locations must support WPA2 AES, and we've just added a new option here, WPA3 AES, and information about that will appear in the forthcoming update of the technical specification. And there's more information here about whether you do natting, whether you've got a proxy in place, and so on. I'm aware that time is ticking by, so we will crack on. But as I say, the locations information is published on the eduroam Companion app, and you'll also find it on various web maps. Okay, you need to tell us that your service deployment is complete, so just click on here and tick deployment complete and tick on save. Your locations then appear in Companion. Here are the web maps. So there's one that our European associates operate. And there's also one for that Jisc does as well, but I seem to have omitted the URL for that. Okay, so that's the end of using the support server to support your visited service.